Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, an RV was destroyed in a fire yesterday at Two Narrows Campground in Trenton. We'll have the details on that coming up. Plus, Volunteer Maine's 40th Annual Leadership Conference included an announcement to a new grant that supports statewide volunteering efforts. And Penquis, along with Heart of Maine United Way, hosted their Fill the Bus Backpack Drive. We'll bring you more on that as well. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up in the show, but as always, we thank you for joining us. Now for the weather, we'll have sunny skies and pretty hot temperatures throughout the day today. Let's start off this morning by getting a first check of our forecast. Devin Biggs joins us now.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go as we get things started out there this morning. High pressure continues to keep us quiet out there after we saw some gusty winds yesterday. It will be a nice one, although hot, as we'll see high temperatures today in the low 90s. Humidity levels will stay down for now. Later on this week, that will be a different story. As we do zoom things out, some precipitation further down toward the south and also to the west, but for us, it is nice and quiet out there. Futurecast moving forward today, we will have some clouds further down toward the south and west. Some of those may skirt Bangor, but again, we'll go with a partly cloudy sky today and again later on tonight. So for today, here's what we're looking at. Low 90s out there under a partly cloudy sky. It will be a hot one with that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour, so not much of a wind out there today. Later on tonight, we have low 60s out there, partly cloudy with the wind overall looking nice and calm. The hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine, some clouds out there with temperatures making it into the 90s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, for at least the third time in recent weeks, authorities say a refrigeration unit is likely to blame for a fire that destroyed an RV. When crews arrived at the Narrows 2 campground in Trenton on Tuesday morning, they found a large recreational vehicle burning. The Trenton Fire Department says that all of the people were able to get out safely before firefighters arrived, and no one was injured there. They say mutual aid from Ellsworth, Lemoyne, and Hancock was automatically called because of the size and complexity of the current RV. They were able to contain the fire and prevent it from damaging nearby campsites and had it out in about 30 minutes. Officials say the fire started from a malfunction in the RV's refrigeration unit.
Just be diligent. Fires can happen at any time. Practice your escape plans. Have a meeting place. In this case, it was a small unit, but it had a structure fire. It's always important to talk about that. It's one of those things we don't expect to ever happen. But knowing where, how to get out of your house. Don't go back in after you get out. Have that meeting place. That's probably the most important thing. And always just check your smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms.
Well, meanwhile, one person is dead after a crash in the town of Moscow. It happened a little after 10 a.m. on Route 201 on Monday. 67-year-old Serge Poland of Quebec was pronounced dead at the scene. Somerset County Sheriff Chief Deputy Michael Mitchell says an empty tractor-trailer truck hydroplaned in heavy rain and hit Poland's car. Mitchell says that the crash remains under investigation. Members of the Bangor Rotary Club say that Poland was on his way to speak with the club when that crash occurred. Well, the city of Ellsworth is proposing a new RV park. However, not everyone is on board with those plans. Our Sam Miller shares more.
The Ellsworth Planning Board has proposed a new RV park on Bayside Road next to Alton Avenue. The proposed plan includes a 28-site campground for recreational vehicles which would accommodate full RV hookup sites with water and electricity, as well as additional parking for extra vehicles. Locals on Alton Avenue, the street adjacent to the site of the proposed park, have pushed back against it, believing the park would be a disturbance to the neighborhood.
We live in a very quiet, wooded neighborhood, and to have transient residents right by us, transient campers, is going to impede our tranquility and our way of life on this neighborhood.
Kelly Brackett has lived on Alton Avenue since 2017 and says that the community is concerned about traffic, environmental impacts, property values and overall safety. She clarified that she isn't against the idea of an RV park in general, but believes there are other appropriately zoned areas that would better suit the needs of visiting campers.
And it puts the campers in a closer proximity to amenities and direct routes that can handle large RV traffic and more traffic on the way down to Acadia. It just makes more sense all around for it not to happen here.
Ellsworth City Manager Charlie Pierce says the proposal is going through the planning board, and he aims to make sure that the rights and interests of everyone involved are protected.
Sometimes it can be solved in 1 meeting, 2 meetings, 3 meetings, 4 meetings, like whatever it takes for us to make sure that all voices at the table are being heard, both from the business and the property owners' perspective for this proposal, and also the residents and the communities that live nearby, and trying to create as robust of a process as we can for people to be heard and for the City Council to make their decision, but also giving the Planning Board the independence they need to make their decision based on our current laws and rules.
In Ellsworth, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, in other news this morning, Senator Angus King is introducing a bill to help fight mosquito-borne diseases. The Strengthening Mosquito Abatement for Safety and Health Act, or SMASH Act, would reauthorize funding for federal mosquito control and public health response efforts. Senator King says, quote, "One of the best parts of living in Maine is being able to spend time outdoors. But the threat of dangerous illnesses from mosquito bites is a real concern. Mosquitoes are more than just a nuisance. They have the potential to transmit dangerous diseases which threaten American public health. Acting to prevent the spread of such diseases is essential to protect the health of Maine people and Americans nationwide." Well, Brewer Deputy Mayor Bill Kimball has resigned from the City Council. Assistant City Manager Jason Moffitt said that the city received notice of Kimball's resignation on July 29th, effective immediately. Moffitt said Kimball cited increasing work commitments. His departure leaves 4 members on the council now. The City Council plans to address the resulting vacancy at the upcoming meeting on August 11th and then determine their next steps from there. However, Moffitt said it is likely that the council will put the position on the November ballot. A new partnership among Maine's healthcare industry leaders and community college is working to expand short-term healthcare training opportunities. The Harold Alphon Center for the Advancement of Maine's Workforce and Maine's community colleges have been training the state's healthcare workers for decades through short-term workforce training programs. These programs have been expanded in recent years to help address chronic frontline staffing shortages for roles such as medical assistants and emergency medical technicians. This new effort unites healthcare systems, hospitals, and education partners to create training programs designed by industry experts.
Maine's workforce is aging, and the healthcare industry is one of Maine's largest, and employers are struggling to fill positions. And so they're looking to collaborate, and we really need to come together to collectively solve our workforce challenges, in this case through short-term accelerated workforce training strategies.
Short-term programs are typically offered at no cost to students. Last fall, over 3,000 students were enrolled in degree and certificate healthcare programs, a nearly 80% increase since 2019. Volunteer Maine held its 40th annual leadership conference and announced a grant that will support volunteering across the state for the next 3 years. Our Calvin White shares more.
Volunteers from multiple industries converged on Augusta for the 40th Maine Volunteers Leadership Conference, with a focus on the local volunteering sector.
The theme for this year is Mainers helping Mainers. The idea that no matter what, wherever you go, whether you're brand new to the state or you've born and raised here in Maine, one thing is absolutely clear: Mainers step up to help Mainers.
She says that vital industries in Maine like conservation, education, food security, and elder care rely heavily on volunteer workforces. Volunteer Maine says their goal is bridging the gap between the people who volunteer, the organizations who need them, and the leadership who makes everything run smoothly.
So in the last few years, we've seen just a general more interest in volunteerism, whether that's organizations trying to grow their volunteer programs or just the general community being interested in volunteering again.
Some attendees were new to Maine, but excited to learn how to best help the community.
I think something that today really offers, at least for us kind of being newer to the volunteering community in Maine, is seeing kind of what's out there, how people are collaborating with one another and engaging with different groups.
It's such a rural state that in a lot of ways communities are more isolated, but in my experience living here now for a year, it almost has more capacity in that way. It's such a strong community sense.
The organization's 40th straight year wasn't the only cause for celebration. Volunteer Maine also announced that a new 3-year grant of over $300,000 annually will help them fund even more training.
We're not going to create anything new. We're going to try to support what already exists so that they could do their work even better.
Anyone interested in finding volunteer opportunities should visit servemaine.org. In Augusta, Calvin White, ABC 7, Fox 22 News.
The time now is 8:10. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, we'll learn all about the town of Unity and their historical society from the 1800s. But first, another look at the forecast. For today, nice day ahead, partly cloudy with some hot temperatures right around 91. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy with temperatures dipping down to around 60. And for tomorrow, partly cloudy and hot as well, highs around 94. We'll be right back.
Troy Jackson bragged about being one of Graham Plattner's earliest supporters. When the news of Plattner's Nazi tattoo came out, Jackson stood with Plattner. When Plattner blamed women for getting raped because they get drunk, Jackson stood by Plattner. And when the media reported Plattner was violent toward women, Jackson stood again with Plattner.
I want to say thank you very much to Troy.
Don't be fooled by Troy Jackson. He's another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
At Maine's #1 Kia dealer, Darling's Kia, we've got something for everyone. Shop our full lineup of new all-wheel drive, gas, EV, hybrid, or plug-in hybrid Kias. Plus, enjoy affordable lease programs and more incredible savings on award-winning Kias. And at Darling's Kia, your new vehicle is covered by our 10-year or 100,000-mile warranty. The best in the business. The best cars, the best prices, and the best warranty. Shop Darling's Kia. You'll do better at Darling's.
Come one, come all! Penobscot County's oldest furniture store is having a spectacular liquidation event. That's right, the Big Top is back. It's loaded with quality furniture and mattresses, and the discounts have been taken. You'll save at least 50% off list on mattresses, recliners, sofas, and more. If you're looking for a great piece of furniture to make your oasis complete, right now is a perfect time to check out the Big Top in Holden. Dorsey Furniture, Route 1A Holden, open 7 days a week until 5 p.m.
Thinking of buying a used car? Be on the alert for the potential for fraud with private vehicle sales. Knowing the signs of fraud and doing your research can help ensure you get a good deal and not swindled. Before handing over your hard-earned cash, thoroughly research the vehicle's history. And remember, if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Brought to you by this station, the Maine Association of Broadcasters, and the Office of the Secretary of State.
Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center has earned some national recognition. U.S. News & World Report is highlighting the hospital's commitment to clinical excellence, patient care, and community service in its 2026-27 Best Hospital rankings. The hospital got a high-performing specialty badge in cardiology and heart vascular surgery. They also received the Best Regional Hospital badge in 11 different types of care, as well as the Best Regional Hospital for Community Access Medallion. Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center President Ava Collins says, quote, achieving high-performing status across multiple cardiac procedures and conditions while also being honored for community access underscores our mission to deliver exceptional care close to home for the people of Maine. And with school right around the corner, local organizations are teaming up to ease the financial burdens of back-to-school shopping, one backpack at a time. Yesterday, Panquist and Heart of Maine United Way were outside of Walmart in Bangor for a Fill the Bus backpack drive. Panquist's annual We've Got Your Back school supplies drive encourages community members to donate backpacks and essential school supplies to help families in Penobscot, Piscataquis, and Knox counties. Organizers say that the donations are going to 1,200 students this year and more are on the wait list.
The needs are just really great. They're competing for gas, food, medicine, and sometimes there just isn't enough to get those backpacks or school supplies. So this is just one way the community can really help and ease the burden for some of these families.
They will be accepting donations between now and August 13th. Supplies can be dropped off at any Penquist location, and donations can also be made online at penquist.org. Well, one of the oldest homes in Unity is full of historic memorabilia from the town. It was built back in the 1800s and gifted to the Unity Historical Society many decades later. Our Jody Hersey takes us there.
Unity isn't near anything, but it's not that far from anything either. We're halfway between Bangor and Augusta.
The town of Unity, just like its name, has been uniting people for years. It's where thousands travel to attend the Common Ground Fair every fall. It's also home to Unity Raceway, a local attraction. And this area is where Unity College was founded and operated up until the campus closed in 2020.
It has that small town feel and it operates like a small town.
The history of this tight-knit community is housed at the Unity Historical Society on Depot Street.
This is one of the older homes in Unity. It was built in 1813 with bricks that were made on site.
Like other historical societies in Maine, the Unity Historical Society needs more members.
I used to be one of the youngest members, now I'm one of the older.
Both the Carmel and Prospect Historical Societies also see the need for more involvement from the next generation.
I like to say to the younger people, today is your history.
It's so important to know where you came from, where you're going, who shaped you. You're not seeing that in schools now, in the civics classes, and it needs to be the real history for kids to learn so that they can get involved somehow.
Many agree having places to visit and see Maine's history in person is important to keeping our heritage alive.
You lose something if you don't have the physical objects to look at or to touch or to be able to see and to know the history.
In Unity, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The time now is 8:17. After the break, new details on the armed man arrested at President Trump's golf course in Southern California. More on that coming up. Plus, experts are saying that 2026 could possibly beat a heat record globally. Those stories and more straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
I went to work in the woods after high school. The harder we worked, the more that the companies took from us. That's why we organized. We made them listen. People are doing everything they can right and still cannot get ahead. Susan Collins keeps telling us everything is just fine. Who has she served? She has served Donald Trump. She has served the billionaires. She has served herself. We are getting screwed, and I'm running to change that.
Government that Works PAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
Keep your boat safe, functional, and beautiful with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company. Your Hammond sales rep can help you choose the perfect lift for your boat. Shoremaster's exclusive Whisper winch offers the industry's smoothest and quietest operation. Add speed and convenience with a Shoremaster lift motor. And Shoremaster's modular infinity design makes it easy to upgrade with accessories when you're ready. Take your boating experience to the next level with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company.
Hank's Husqvarna is your trusted full-line Husqvarna dealer, offering you everything you need for your outdoor projects. From high-performance lawn tractors and zero-turn mowers to chainsaws, trimmers, battery-powered and powerful snowblowers, we have just what you need. Every piece of equipment is fully set up, serviced, and ready for use by our certified Husqvarna technician. And all sales are backed by our in-house Husqvarna warranty. For parts, service, or new equipment sales, make your way to Hank's Husqvarna in Carmel or Newport.
Welcome to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop in Brewer. And some call me the King. There are RC trucks, cars, crawlers, and parts aplenty. There are planes, metal detectors, and gear galore. I have decreed that all people can book birthday parties with their RC vehicles provided for all. We have indoor and outdoor tracks and crawling courses available. Bring yourself, your family, and friends to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop, South Main Street, Brewer.
This year is not the hottest year on record yet. The experts are saying that there's still time for the 2026 summer to turn up the heat as global warming joins forces with an El Nino. Fox News' Ted Linder explains.
Wildfires burning in the western U.S. and Europe, and people all across the globe looking for relief at the water's edge. So far this summer, the world has been experiencing heat waves, wildfires, and warming waters. And if you think it's hot now, the experts are advising don't speak too soon.
2026 so far has been the third warmest year on record through June, but we expect it to get much warmer in the coming months as this very strong El Nino event continues to develop.
Climate experts are now saying 2026 has the potential to become the hottest year on record, beating out 2024. They're pointing to that so-called Super El Nino, which is still brewing in the Pacific. That, coupled with human-caused global warming, could spike temperatures and affect weather around the world. But experts say the fires, heat, and other extremes we're seeing this summer aren't related to the El Nino that's forming in the Pacific now, because the effects aren't expected to be felt for another few months this fall. Experts saying climate change is having the biggest impact.
The driver of the record warmth is climate change in the background, and it's a much larger contribution than El Nino, which is just 1/10 to 2/10 of a degree on top of that long-term trend.
This summer, heat waves have hit hard in places where people aren't used to triple-digit heat, with experts mentioning Europe getting hit back to back.
There's always heat waves somewhere in the world, sometime. But what is very unusual for Europe for this particular year is the frequency and extent of the heat waves.
I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News.
The time now is 8:21. Let's get a full look at our forecast. Meteorologist Evan Biggs is in with the latest.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. Checking out the wave heights this morning. Not too bad at all, at around 2 feet. According to the buoys, and even farther off towards the north and east, not looking too bad. No advisories along the coast or even inland either. Farther out towards sea, not horrible either, at around 4 to 5 feet. Water temperatures checking on those this morning in the lower to middle 60s. Further off towards the north and east, not too bad either. A little bit cooler and a little bit further off towards the north and east, some 60s and even some 70s. Farther down toward the north, south, and even to the east as well. Meanwhile, on land, nice and quiet outside this morning. The winds have backed off as well, and we will have a lot of sunshine, a few passing clouds today as well. It will be a hot one out there today too, although not as humid out there yet. We will see the humidity levels increasing coming up later on this week. Notice we do have a system across parts of the Midwest this morning. Futurecast for us, we are going to be seeing some clouds passing through the region today. Then later on tonight, we will see a few more clouds approaching later on with an area low pressure not far away, but no precipitation with that at this time. As we head towards your Thursday, sunshine and some clouds as well, still continuing to remain dry. As we do push forward, checking out the muggy meter. Again, dew point staying down for now, but gradually increasing later today. Also into Thursday, it's Friday. We really notice a difference with humid air Friday and a Saturday, and the 70s down slightly Sunday, but still up there. And then Monday back into the middle to upper 60s. Already as we move forward toward today, partly cloudy and hot with highs in the low 90s, and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, low 60s. All right, partly cloudy with the wind overall looking nice and calm. All right, another hot one tomorrow with middle 90s, partly cloudy, and that southwest wind at about 5 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast for your Friday. Partly cloudy, a slight chance for a shower or storm with highs in the low 90s. Then middle 80s, we cool off Saturday with a chance for showers and thunderstorms. And then Sunday, showers and thunderstorms with highs in the upper 80s.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Disturbing news about threats of violence against women. Is it Graham Plattner again? No, it's Troy Jackson. When a female legislator disagreed with Jackson, he threw a water bottle at her in anger. The woman was deeply frightened. Jackson was known for bullying, and his screaming felt like intentional intimidation. His brash conduct with women raised alarm bells about his temperament. Troy Jackson, another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Around here, you take pride in your home, and who you trust to work on it matters. That's why folks turn to AF&F Carpentry. From kitchens and custom woodwork to full home renovations, we bring military-grade discipline and focus to every project. Our work has been featured on Operation CEO. No shortcuts, no surprises, just solid craftsmanship you can count on. AF&F Carpentry, serving Maine homeowners with pride.
Make your outdoor living space dreams come true with a little help from Granville Stone and Hearth. Granville can help you go from this to this. Outdoor fireplaces, custom outdoor kitchens, gorgeous stone patios, and more. You bring the dreams, we'll supply the materials to make it all real. Create your stunning outdoor oasis with help from the experts at Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Now to the video of a drone hunting down a food cart vendor, evidence that the tactics of war, whether in Ukraine or Iran, are changing with the times. Here's ABC's Hannah Battah.
Overnight, another deadly attack on Ukraine's capital city. Russia launching ballistic missiles. A residential building collapsing. People trapped under the rubble. Civilians are paying the price on both sides of the war. New video shows a Russian drone appearing to hunt down this defenseless vegetable vendor on a Ukrainian street. The drone tracking his every move. Then it dives down and explodes. The man survived but suffered a concussion and shrapnel wounds. President Zelensky says the video is evidence Russia has gone mad. Earlier this week, a Ukrainian drone plummeted into this crowded beach at a Russian resort, killing 7 people, including 3 children. Ukraine claims Russia shot down that drone and that it never targeted the beach. Ukraine has been striking deeper into Russia, hitting warehouses tied to a company known as Russia's equivalent to Amazon, as drone technology revolutionizes warfare in both Ukraine and Iran. There's growing concern about American stockpiles of air defense missiles.
Sources tell ABC News that after months of war, U.S. stocks of air defense missiles have been significantly depleted, a major concern if this conflict were to escalate once again.
Reuters reports the Pentagon has drained virtually all its supply of long-range precision missiles and nearly half of its Tomahawks. The White House has insisted the military will have what it needs.
In the last 24 hours, the Trump administration has raised hopes for an imminent peace deal with Iran to reopen Strait of Hormuz, and that sent stocks on Wall Street soaring to a new record yesterday. Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
We are now learning more about one of the victims injured at the In-N-Out shooting in Idaho. A driver charging his electric taxi and former law enforcement officer who tried to intervene were among the 7 people wounded in a mass shooting at the Idaho fast food restaurant that also left 3 people dead. The attack Saturday at the new In-N-Out Burger in Twin Falls ended when the gunman, identified by police as 24-year-old Chad Williams, shot and killed himself. On Monday, police were still trying to determine why Williams carried out that attack, which happened early in the afternoon in a busy shopping plaza in the southern Idaho city. On Tuesday, one victim's cousin spoke out about his relative's injury. Shane Class said that his cousin, Stephen Pixley, was driving his motorcycle at the intersection near the restaurant.
Yeah, it was just right as the light turned green. He put both feet up on the pegs and started to go, and he heard a pop. And he felt his left hand drop to the ground.
Well, Class explains that Pixley then got off the roadway, not knowing exactly what had happened until he got off his bike. Many details about Williams' life were still unknown on Monday, but an initial search of court records in Idaho and Arizona, where he used to live, did not show any criminal cases matching his name and date of birth. Well, this morning, Amazon is facing a new lawsuit over the drivers who bring packages to your door. New Jersey is suing and accusing the company of illegally driving down the pay and working conditions of thousands of delivery drivers. According to ABC News, those drivers show up in Amazon vans, wear Amazon vests, and carry boxes with the Amazon logo. But most of them don't actually work for Amazon. They work for small contractors, which the company calls delivery service partners. The lawsuit claims those partners are entirely dependent on Amazon to survive and claims the company uses that power to control their routes, their hiring, and their pay while crushing any attempt by workers to unionize. Amazon says that the allegations are not grounded in fact and argues its delivery partners are, quote, independent business owners who make their own decisions about hiring, fleet management, and capacity planning, and they choose to work with other companies besides Amazon. But the lawsuit claims drivers for Amazon earn substantially less than those at postal services like UPS and FedEx. Another troubling incident at one of President Trump's golf courses, police in California announcing the arrest of a man with a gun. Authorities say the suspect also had prohibited ammunition, plus more firearms and a concerning notebook in his home. He was taken into custody just 2 days before the president attended an event last night at the same club. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
This morning, new details on the armed man arrested at President Trump's golf course in Southern California. Officials say plainclothed agents reported a suspicious man at Trump National Golf Club in Rancho Palos Verdes Sunday. They say he was spotted walking the property, taking photos and videos, and appearing to monitor security preparations 2 days before the president's planned visit. Authorities detained the suspect, identified as 38-year-old Janine John Taylor. They say they found hollow point ammunition in his pants pocket and a loaded pistol in his vehicle. Also saying a search of his home in Downey, California revealed an illegally modified AR-style rifle, body armor, radio signal devices, and multiple notebooks containing what officials described as concerning statements. The incident comes nearly 2 years after a man was arrested near President Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida. A Secret Service agent had spotted a rifle pointing out from the bushes while then-candidate Trump was golfing.
Individual in the bush with a gun.
Prosecutors said Ryan Ruth spent weeks planning an assassination attempt, making 17 trips to scope out the course. He was later convicted and sentenced to life in prison.
Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Coming up on the second half of the newscast, a Greenville man is walking a long distance for a very good cause. We'll hear about the journey to Boston as Good Morning Maine continues.
Kirk Fisher is a motorcycle attorney with first responder experience. He protects fellow riders and those in danger, fighting fires and fighting for your rights. Experienced, determined, and dedicated. Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Look for motorcycles, or Kirk Fisher will be looking for you.
The 2026 season, well, it's been pretty dramatic so far. Slam dunk. Another day in front of raucous sellout crowds.
It's all our dreams come true.
From wet grass. Two titans of the Live Golf League go head to head. Oh. Bryson goes back to back.
Got to be the best live event we've ever had.
This is the stuff of fairy tales.
Watch Live Golf New York on Fox Sports.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
The center for the Spurs is famously one of the most unique players in basketball history. But now, look out Wemby. A fresh new prospect is drawing comparisons to him. His name is Jagmeet. He's 7'4", and the internet immediately jumped on giving him a special nickname. Here's ABC's Danny New.
Wembanyama against Robinson goes inside.
These past NBA Finals, viewers were blown away by 7'4" French phenom Victor Wembanyama, a.k.a. Wemby. But as we head into the school year, millions online are now marveling at the 7'4" prospect nicknamed Indian Wemby.
Indian Wemby. Do you like that nickname?
Yeah, that's a cool nickname.
18-year-old Jagmeet Singh here is heading into his senior year at Victory Rock Prep in Florida after coming over to the States a few years ago from his home in northern India.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Jagmeet, how easy is it for you to dunk?
I would say a 10. I just need to jump a little bit.
Growing up in a country that prefers cricket, Jagmeet only picked up basketball at 14 years old and got recruited while he was playing at a park. Not before long, he was competing for India's youth national team and eventually received an offer to come play in the U.S. As his mother, Manmeet, told me through a translator, it was hard to send her son away for the first time, but their family was incredibly proud. Jagmeet said the transition was tough at first and he got used to it, but earlier this year, tragedy struck when his father, Jaswinder, suddenly passed away after suffering a heart attack. Manmeet said she knew how important this basketball dream was to Jagmeet's father, and she made the tough decision to tell him to stay in America and keep working on the court.
Do you think of him when you're playing now?
Yeah. Every time. He just wanted me to get his name up, get India's name up, make him proud.
Well, an Indian-born player has never played in the NBA, but when you ask Jagmeet about making history for his family and for his homeland...
Yeah, the ultimate dream is the NBA, but I gotta reach the college level and perform there yet, so one step at a time.
Jagmeet is already getting attention from colleges like Stanford and DePaul, but like he said, one step at a time. One very large step at a time. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Well, now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go as we get things started out there this morning. High pressure continues to keep us quiet out there after we saw some gusty winds yesterday. It will be a nice one, although hot, as we'll see high temperatures today in the low 90s. Humidity levels will stay down for now. Later on this week, that will be a different story. As we do zoom things out, some precipitation further down toward the south and also to the west, but for us, it is nice and quiet out there. Futurecast moving forward today, we will have some clouds further down toward the south and west. Some of those may skirt Bangor, but again, we'll go with a partly cloudy sky today and again later on tonight. So for today, here's what we're looking at. Low 90s out there under a partly cloudy sky. It will be a hot one with that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour, so not much of a wind out there today. Later on tonight, we have low 60s out there, partly cloudy with the wind overall looking nice and calm. The hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine, some clouds out there with temperatures making it into the 90s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
Thank you, Devin. Well, now for the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Melissa Adon.
Oi, welcome back.
Ted Lasso is back on the small screen today. The first episode of season 4 is out on Apple TV, with the rest of the episodes releasing weekly. This season follows Jason Sudeikis' Ted as he coaches a women's soccer team. Bowen Yang is heading to the stage to join the cast of Oh, Mary. The former SNL star will make his debut as Mary Todd Lincoln on September 15th. The comedy play reimagines the former First Lady as a wannabe cabaret star. Organizations funded by Leonardo DiCaprio and Jeff Bezos have launched a $200 million initiative to revive 100 of Earth's most threatened species. DiCaprio's Rewild and the Bezos Earth Fund are leading the Phoenix Species Project, which they call the largest single fund in history exclusively dedicated to the effort. And happy birthday to director James Gunn, who turned 60 today. That's what's happening in Hollywood. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, still to come here this morning, Max Stern with sports. Don't go away.
Susan Collins broke her promise to protect Roe v. Wade. When Donald Trump called, she cast the deciding vote for his Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade. And she voted to put more than 100 Trump judges on the bench. States are banning abortion without exceptions, and women are dying. But Susan Collins says,
I do not regret that vote.
Tell Susan Collins to stop breaking her word. Stop voting for Trump's anti-choice judges.
I'm Barry Higgins from Maple Lane Farm. We have our own beef herd here. We run about 800 head, and it's raised right here on the farm. And we go direct to the consumer. No middleman, all natural, good old-fashioned Maine beef. Our quality is unbeatable. We have specials on Facebook every week. We guarantee our product 100%, whether it be beef, pork, or chicken. And we have a small selection of lamb also.
Maple Lane Farm, a candy store for a carnivore.
Jado Highlands Golf Course, nestled in the woods of Lincoln, just a short drive from Bangor or Holton. Designed for players of all abilities, Jado features everything a golfer desires. 18 fully irrigated holes, driving range, practice green, and a golf shop with instruction available. Jado maintains quality course conditions while proudly displaying some of the most scenic views in Maine. Challenge yourself to a round of golf surrounded by the beauty of Maine at Jado Highlands Golf Course.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Your goal is to put items in the correct order before, in between, definitely after.
This is The Perfect Line. Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Welcome back in, folks. The Maine football team has made immense progress over the last few seasons, in large part thanks to players and coaches who have fully decided to buy in. Jack Webb spoke with one of those crucial players on Tuesday.
Yeah, anytime you have really good tackles and being a really good tackle, I think it makes your life a lot easier.
Redshirt junior offensive lineman Anthony Iliano has been a rock for the Maine Black Bears over the past 2 seasons as they've continued to take steps forward as a program.
A lot of times as an offensive line coach, you worry about your tackles more than anything, protecting the edges. And when you're not thinking about your tackles as much, it's usually a pretty good thing. But Ant brings a lot of stuff. He's an extremely diverse style of player. He can do athletic things. He can do power things.
Maybe more important than his play on the field, Iliano has also been a rock off the field by reinforcing the culture, which is something he takes pride in.
I say the biggest thing I've been trying to improve on this year, I've been trying to be a great leader to not only the offensive line room, but to the whole team in general, holding guys accountable. And a big thing is just bringing energy every day, competing.
In this day and age, to find young people who are bold enough to stand for something and speak up and show how much they care, that's hard to find. And we have a bunch of those guys. I would say Anthony is at the top of that list.
What else is rare in this day and age of college football? Continuity. The 2025 second-team All-Conference selection and 2026 third-team preseason All-American selection chose the Black Bears again this offseason. With Iliano's resume, most players would have hit the infamous transfer portal in pursuit of a new opportunity. Iliano instead doubled down.
One, I believe in the players we have in this team. I believe in the coaches, and I believe in what we've been working towards. I wouldn't come back if I didn't believe that we can truly do something special here. I mean, this is such a close team, and not only that, but I truly believe that we can go on and have a great winning season. And I'm fully bought into what culture we have building here.
I think that goes back to the selflessness piece. Is just he has a way with his teammates, and he loves his teammates, and he loves the University of Maine. And I think being able to make a hard decision like that at such a young age speaks a lot to his character and the person that he is.
He will lead the Black Bears onto the field Thursday, August 27th at Towson for their first game of the season. From Orono, Jack Webb, ABC7 Fox 22 Sports.
All right, some exciting news for local soccer fans. The Portland Hearts of Pine soccer team is getting a huge stadium upgrade. WGME's Julia Simone reports.
Fitzpatrick Stadium, where about 6,000 fans can pack the stands for tomorrow's match. But the club's new stadium would nearly double that capacity, accommodating up to 11,000 fans.
The tremendous success of our first season caused us to accelerate the timeline.
With the game of soccer growing in the U.S., so is the Portland Hearts of Pine soccer team. The club currently has a men's team that plays at Fitzpatrick Stadium. But that site is outgrowing their club's needs, with many fans already on a wait list for season tickets. They are now looking to build a permanent home for the club's men and soon-to-be women's team on the city's working waterfront.
We've put Maine firmly on the American soccer map. From being named America's buzziest new soccer team, SportsCenter features, and jerseys shipped to all 50 states and around the world.
The stadium will hold between 9,000 to 11,000 fans at Portland's Cassidy Point. There will also be public waterfront access, shops, and an indoor sports facility. The team says the project will be mostly privately funded and costs are expected to exceed $50 million.
We want supporters to be even closer to the field, without a track separating them. We want there to be more capacity, and we want that supporter section, which is already the rowdiest and the best in the entire league, to be bigger and to have more room for people.
Right now, Cassidy Point is home to a large industrial coal pile next to the jetport, which by city ordinance has to be moved by 2030 anyway. The team hopes to trade the coal site for a new pitch, and they say they're in talks for parking and are encouraging fans to walk, bike, or use public transit to get to matches.
We'd be required to apply for a major site plan permit. This is where the city would review the project in consideration of things like traffic, parking, utility infrastructure, stormwater runoff, lighting, and more.
Again, the project is still in the very early stages of planning. The team says they hope to start construction next year and have the stadium built by 2029.
Okay, for those of you who missed it, the Red Sox went crazy ahead of Monday's trade deadline and acquired several big pieces as the team looks to continue towards a playoff run. Blockbuster of the day came in the form of trading for Baltimore Orioles switch-hitting catcher Adley Rutschman, a three-time All-Star who gives the Red Sox an immediate upgrade at the catching position. With big trades come big prices, and for Boston, that meant sending over catcher Carlos Narvaez and prospects Anthony Ayson, Kyson Witherspoon, and Endy Azokar to Baltimore. The Sox also acquired left-handed reliever Eric Miller from the Giants for Marcelo Meyer, and outfielder Eli White comes over from Atlanta. Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow says adding guys like Adley to the team at the deadline was important to him because the players and the fans deserve to see the team make aggressive moves before postseason baseball begins.
This team has demonstrated just an incredible resilience and relentlessness, and put itself, kind of firmly in the playoff picture. And they deserved, and our fans deserve, our efforts, the efforts from the front office to try and find ways to make it better.
All right, to make room for Eli White and Eric Miller, the Red Sox DFA'd bullpen arm Ryan Watson and optioned utility player Romy Gonzalez to AAA. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust. We get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
They've got the sharpest pencil in town. Now they just sit around that showroom figuring deals and whittling that old pencil down. They know that if you buy once, you're gonna be back. So instead of buying one, you're buying two, and that's a fact. They've got the sharp.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
Mainers work hard. Our leaders should too. Like Senator Susan Collins, who just cast her 10,000th vote.
The first senator in U.S. history to reach that mark without ever missing a vote.
Collins worked with Democrats to keep the Gulf of Maine open for our fishermen, kept our shipbuilders on the job with new funding, and Collins expanded health care for rural Mainers. No drama, just hard work and results. Call. Ask Senator Collins to keep working hard for Mainers.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
When every word counts.
Trash panda.
Raccoon.
Yeah. You hand me a trash panda.
and that was gangster. It pays to choose wisely.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You just won it! 25 words or less every weekday.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Welcome back, everyone. A man from Greenville is putting one foot in front of the other on a journey meant to help children he may never meet. Nathaniel Douglas is walking hundreds of miles from central Maine to Boston, raising money for Boston Children's Hospital. Our Alex Schley has more.
About 240.
That's the number of miles Greenville native Nathaniel Douglas will walk over the coming weeks, all to raise money for Boston Children's Hospital.
And I think people think they can't do anything, but like, I'm by no means a special guy. I'm like just some dude from like the middle of Maine, and if I can do this, I think people can change things in their everyday life and hopefully touch their neighbors, touch their communities.
Douglas began his journey in Bangor on Tuesday, and this isn't his first time overcoming a challenge to help local kids in need. In 2013, Douglas and his brother made a similar walk.
We had like no resources. We didn't even have smartphones. I had like Google Maps printed out on paper.
A couple years later, he faced his own battle.
Early 20s, I ended up having like a non-cancerous tumor that was just in like kind of the gnarly spot in my noggin.
Douglas's friend and co-worker at Northern Light Mayo Hospital, Jacob Beckwith, joined Douglas on the first day of his walk.
If there's anybody that I know that can do it, it's Nathaniel Douglas. You know, he's done great things.
And while the walk will test his endurance, he expects the finish line to be the hardest part.
And they're gonna give me like one of those big fake checks to like hand off. And then there's like, dude, they're gonna get me crying on camera. There's like, yeah, there's some families that like want to meet you and stuff. Oh, that's so nice. And I was like, you're gonna make me cry. Don't do that, please.
For Douglas, the goal isn't just to raise money. He says it's to show ordinary people can do extraordinary things one step at a time. To support Douglas's walk and his fundraiser for Boston Children's Hospital, go to our website, foxbangor.com. I'm Alex Schley reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, we wish him the very best of luck on his journey. Well, meanwhile, a historic home goes up for sale, and owning it might send you to the moon and back with nostalgia. The boyhood home of Apollo 11 astronaut Neil Armstrong, the first human to walk on the moon in 1969, is going on the housing market in Ohio. The home is a key influence on the future astronaut who grew up in it and made model planes and took flying lessons while being nurtured by its cozy atmosphere. The home has been carefully preserved to feature its character in the Armstrong years, while also containing featured Armstrong and other space memorabilia. Armstrong co-astronaut Buzz Aldrin has also visited the house. The asking price for the home is $430,000. Its current owner, Karen Mikesell, says that when she bought it, she did not know the history. And now she says she's ready to part with it to let someone else feel the joy and connection to American history. While the house isn't legally protected from changes, its historical significance remains, and Mikesell's hope is that someone will buy it and donate it to the Armstrong Museum. Neil Armstrong died in 2012 at the age of 82. Well, now here's meteorologist Devin Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. Checking out the wave heights this morning. Not too bad at all, at around 2 feet. According to the buoys, and even farther off towards the north and east, not looking too bad. No advisories along the coast or even inland either. Farther out towards sea, not horrible either, at around 4 to 5 feet. Water temperatures checking on those this morning in the lower to middle 60s. Further off towards the north and east, not too bad either. A little bit cooler and a little bit further off towards the north and east, some 60s and even some 70s. Farther down toward the north, south, and even to the east as well. Meanwhile, on land, nice and quiet outside this morning. The winds have backed off as well, and we will have a lot of sunshine, a few passing clouds today as well. There will be a hot one out out there today too, although not as humid out there yet. We will see the humidity levels increasing coming up later on this week. Notice we do have a system across parts of the Midwest this morning. Futurecast for us, we are going to be seeing some clouds passing through the region today. Then later on tonight, we will see a few more clouds approaching later on with an area low pressure not far away, but no precipitation with that at this time. As we head towards your Thursday, sunshine and some clouds as well, still continuing to remain dry. As we do push forward, checking out the muggy meter. Again, dew points staying down for now, but gradually increasing later today. Also into Thursday, it's Friday. We really notice the difference with humid air Friday and a Saturday, and the 70s down slightly Sunday, but still up there. And then Monday back into the middle to upper 60s. Already as we move forward toward today, partly cloudy and hot with highs in the low 90s, and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, low 60s. All right, partly cloudy with the wind overall looking nice and calm. All right, another hot one tomorrow with middle 90s, partly cloudy, and that southwest wind at about 5 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast for your Friday. Partly cloudy, a slight chance for a shower or storm with highs in the low 90s. Then middle 80s, we cool off Saturday with a chance for showers and thunderstorms. And then Sunday, showers and thunderstorms with highs in the upper 80s.
Purpose-built, adventure-ready, freedom to go further. At Polaris, we have a history of making history. 40 years, and still redefining what's possible. This is the Sportsman 570 40th Anniversary Edition. Sportsman, legendary tough.
The right dock should fit your shoreline and make life on the water easier, more rewarding, and more fun. When you choose Shoremaster from Hammond Lumber Company, you get all that, along with unmatched strength, versatility, and style. Shoremaster's tool-free Infinity Track system makes adding accessories a breeze. Hammond also offers poly-dock floating docks, perfect for deep or fluctuating waters. Transform your waterfront into your personal paradise with a Shoremaster Infinity Dock system or floating poly-dock system from Hammond Lumber Company.
Bob's Discount is about to go even further. The Massachusetts sales tax holiday is officially the weekend of August 8th and 9th, but you can pre-select right now at Bob's Discount Furniture. That's right, pick out your furniture now, in-store or by phone, and save the sales tax. We'll write your order and process it over the tax-free weekend. Because when you save the sales tax, Bob's Discount goes even further, with no phony sales and no phony gimmicks ever.
Oh my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
Way up north in Maine, down a road less traveled, lies Golden Road Crossing. We have everything you need to gear up for epic hikes, days spent fishing, and nights under the star-filled skies. Join us at Golden Road Yacht Club for cold drinks and Maine-grown comfort food. Gather round to make new friends, share stories, and create memories to last a lifetime. Come visit us at Golden Road Crossing, your hub on Maine's legendary Golden Road.
Starbucks announces the annual return of the pumpkin spice latte, and it's right around the corner. August 25th marks the return of the famed latte, alongside new pumpkin spice beverages and a cider-inspired take on chai. Starbucks is also returning pecan-flavored favorites and banana bread-inspired drinks. The new pumpkin spice bevs include an iced pumpkin cream shaken espresso and iced pumpkin cream matcha. Some fan favorites will be returning to stores, including the pumpkin cream cold brew and iced pumpkin cream chai as well. Meanwhile, a sea lion has been rescued after it was entangled in a thick fishing line, which was wrapped around its throat. When the Channel Islands Marine and Wildlife Institute found it, it had been badly wounded, with the line embedded in its neck. But the rescue did not happen immediately. It took roughly 2 months. Initially, the injured sea lion was in the middle of several adult sea lions and could not be reached. Though after a few weeks, the group did split up and rescue teams were able to sedate it. It's now at a rehabilitation center on the release schedule. The animal looked healthy despite that entanglement, and of course, that is positive news and will help with the recovery. Well, capybaras roam the halls of Brazil's Legislative Assembly building, the semi-aquatic animals that have taken social media and the world by storm took a quick waltz through the building in the central western state of Mato Grosso. Video shows those animals, which are the world's largest rodents, slowly meandering through the hallways. The civil servant who filmed the video is heard gently coaxing the capybaras towards the building exit. The Legislative Assembly is in an urban park, which is a hot spot for the capybaras and other wildlife. Sightings of the highly social animals around the government complex are common. Capybaras are native to South America. They reside in rivers, lakes, and wetlands and can weigh as much as 175 pounds. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning, but as always, we thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
Today on 25 Words or Less, he's known for his hilarious comedy bits. My favourite's when he grabs a random PA and screams, "Don't you know who I am?" It's Ross Matthews. And joining Ross are married couple Mary and Blake. His performance in Star Wars The Last Jedi was my favourite part of the movie. It's Greg Rutherford! I died! And joining him are our returning champions, co-workers Shannon and Merritt. And now here's your host, Meredith Vieira.
Welcome to 25 Words or Less. No, it's not funny, Greg. Jamie's he's malicious. Funny. He's terrible.
He is. I love him.
We love him too.
Yeah.
You know what, Greg? I did not realize that on the side you are a used car salesman. I did not know that.
You know, what a compliment. What a compliment. No, I love old cars. I'm not a used cars, but
Well, you are, sort of.
I love my old cars. I've got a car from each show, like Alias. I've got the old Bronco and A Star is Born, that red truck. That's mine. Yeah. We used it in the movie when I was in the movie. But as a matter of fact,